was a kid. I jumped 15 kids in my neighborhood off a jump ramp on my bike. Came up a little short, split the last kid's head open, blood was gushing everywhere. It's pretty horrible.
And now, a freestyle moment with Jamie Lynn.
All I knew is gone. No one left to keep me here. Guess I'll be moving along. Out of here, I'm gonna hide my tracks. Gotta believe I'm not coming back. You can see inside of me, covering all my tracks. I'm going somewhere off the path, and I might not come back.
You know, I've always had the belief that really let your actions speak for themselves and know how to listen. You know, that's the basis kind of where I come from.
You're stingray, dude. Oh.
Jamie Lynn, he's gonna hurt himself today. Take 16. Very nice.
That's the one right there. Yes.
I'd like to thank my sponsors, Mervyn Manufacturing, Sessions, and Dragon for making this possible.
That'll wrap her up for today. Good job, Jamie.
Thank you.
Jamie Lynn, what?
Jamie has always been very, reserved and, I guess somewhat introverted in his mind, but in terms of his expression, whether that was through snowboarding or art, was always very vibrant and big.
I've always tried to just direct and focus what I put out there as something that had, not just talking shit.
First time I met Jamie, he was a little rocker. He had a little mullet, pretty much, a little stocky thing. And he was 5th grade. But we ended up having a ramp down in Auburn and stuff, and he started skating that. You could tell by the way he skated, he knew what he was doing, he was on it and stuff, so it was a good impression. It stuck, for sure.
I was there with my brother when I first met him, 5th grade, and then we pretty much started to hang out in around 7th grade into same junior high together, and from there on out, we're just, skating and just became really good friends.
Jamie showed up and he jumps over this jump that's way too big for this little guy. And I'm thinking, that kid's good. A couple months later, I see him again. Like, wow, he's got a skateboard this time. So people looked at him on that ramp, like Paul Farrell, and said, hey, you need a snowboard. Kid, I'm gonna take you down. So we go night skiing with skaters every night after school. Jamie took it to another level on icy nights, backflipping over everything, people from the chair screaming for him. Like, damn, dude, you're good.
Back then there was, we had phones with cords, right? I mean, it wasn't like you immediately were able to project yourself out to the universe and get followers and be famous. It had to kind of happen a little different way. And Jamie's, created this superstardom, without wanting it, probably, without ever trying to promote it, without doing anything, to make that happen. It's traversed this 30-year span into kind of the digital age where, everybody can get everything, get themselves out there immediately if they want to, and they're promoting themselves constantly and yada, yada, yada. But it's just totally different for Jamie. It's kind of, like I said, it's always been that way. Sort of a genuineness that, is not always there.
At the time I was working, actually is at the Mervyn factory, shaping snowboards, and that was kind of like what was funding all my side projects. One of the FGHC guys reached out to me and said, hey, let's do a snowboard video. That was a really cool skate video. Let's do a snowboard video. And it'll be like the FGHC guys, and there's all this other, there was all this other up and coming, talent in the Northwest. The idea was we were going to do a video called The Brotherhood, and it was just kind of like all these people we knew that were, ripping snowboarders in the Northwest. Some of them were sponsored, some of them weren't, but just kind of like highlighting what was going on here. His writing or his other things that he was doing was really, you know, would speak for him, because, you know, he'd be pretty laid back, like, yeah, let's go snowboarding. Oh yeah, it's just fun. And then it'd be like, boom, you know, something crazy would happen, and you just, hopefully you were there to capture it with your camera.
Mac Dog introduced me to Jamie Lynn when we were filming TB2, and the first shooting I got to do with him was at Squaw Valley. I mean, Jamie's, as most people would probably say, Jamie's one of the most stylish snowboarders to ever strap a board on. I mean, he is just amazing style, super smooth, and also his personality is just electric. You know, people just gravitate to Jamie Lynn. He's one of those guys where you can't quite put your finger on it, but you're just stoked to watch him ride. You want to be friends with him. You want to, whatever he does, you kind of want to be part of. He's one of those dudes. There's a mystique about Jamie, you know, that he's just Jamie Lynn.
I moved in the fall of 1990 to Glacier, which everybody thought I was insane for moving up there. I was there on opening day and blew my binding out on the very first run. But as I was sitting there near the top of chair 5, staring down at my board, I looked over and this guy goes ripping by in all black. And he pops off this little mogul and he does the sickest method air I've ever seen. I mean, it was like the guy had springs in his legs. I had never seen any, I mean, I've seen a lot of method airs both in skateboarding and snowboarding, but I had seen nothing like that. I remember watching him ride by and I going, who the hell was that? So that was sort of my first take on Jamie from day one.
Jamie Lynn! At that time, like, way more mature than I was as far as like his physical appearance was much bigger. He was so much more powerful. It was like he wasn't even, he's only a year older than me, but it was like he was my brother's age or something.
I was introduced to Jamie at Mount Baker by Mike Ranquet, and he was known from a very young age as one of the kids to watch at Baker, and you can see why, right? Probably one of the most stylish snowboarders to ever ride. You know, I'm really fortunate that I was able to help facilitate a lot of Jamie's early adventures. And I said to them, if you could go anywhere in the world, where would you go? They're like, Europe, we want to go to Europe. And I said, okay, we're going to Europe. And they're like, fuck you, you're full of shit, we're not going to Europe. I'm like, yeah, we're taking you to Europe. And so we worked with their sponsors, and which was GNU, I think, at the time. This was even before LibTech was a brand. And we took them to Europe. Bud Fawcett was our photographer on that trip. And it was the first time they had ever been out in the world. And it was incredible to see it through their eyes. Everything was fascinating to them. For them, it was just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my. So that was incredible. So Jamie and I have been close, you know, ever since. And whenever we see each other, it's not that often anymore, but whenever we see each other, it's like this reunion. He's a very special person to me.